Live from the William Hill Sportsbook inside Silver Sevens, it's Cofield and Company.
Jordan McCabe front court. Leaves it for Iwako. Out top to Ham. He'll shoot a three straight away. And he'll hit it. Why not? It's every game it seems. An early three from the top of the key for Roy Iwako. Jr. Out top to Ham. He'll shoot Iwako. Out to Williams. Alone for a three. Donovan's three is good. Big shot by D. Will. In the hands of Jeffries, and then Justin Webster takes it away, and they foul Hamilton. Justin Webster having a tremendous night.
It's time for Cofield and Company with Steve Cofield on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, here we go. 5 o'clock hour. The funnies continue. Top-notch comedy and sports. Silver Sevens is the spot. I do want to point out one thing to clarify. If people don't know about the ongoing conversation we've had about the power that chicken has over us, when we keep saying big chicken, it's like we're saying big tobacco. So nothing against Shaq's joint right down the road. That said, I think our reference to Big Chicken and how they've got us now hooked on chicken and chicken wings, 8 of them will be $47 by 2023. I will give some advice to Shaq, and he doesn't need my business advice, but Big Chicken right now to me is like opening a restaurant in Las Vegas and calling it Karen's Place.
Ooh.
It just has a different connotation.
Yeah, there's no way I would open a restaurant in Las Vegas and call it Duke's.
No, that wouldn't work either. No, people don't like Duke. I think Ari would, just because he likes the angst, would love to go to a restaurant with all Karens there and go, you know what, I'm the one lone human being in the restaurant who's behaving themselves and not asking for the manager.
He's not going to complain
but you can't
about
make a living off of Karens and just one Ari.
See, he's not going to complain about it out loud, though. He's just going to send us some texts and be really mad at the Karens, but he's just going to kind of quietly eat his meal and not want to disturb the Karens.
Battleborn Injury Lawyers presents the Big 5 at 5. Number 5.
You know, sometimes the news and sports world, it just all comes together to mix with the show beautifully. Headline in the New York Post: Wheel of Fortune loser. I'm, quote, publicly humiliated for reaching my, quote, lifelong dream. And I thought about another person who went through this, our own Adam Candy, who flopped badly on Wheel of Fortune as a contestant. But you know what he didn't do? He didn't run to the papers and say, woe is me. You toughened up. Now, the scenario here is pretty interesting because what's happening is these contestants are getting blistered for what looked like an easy solve.
It is.
Puzzle.
Looked like.
It's not easy under the pressure, and Candy will tell you that. This is what unfurled on the latest wheel.
Yes, there's a P. Spin or solve.
I will solve.
Okay.
Another feather in your map. Another feather in your lap. Another feather in your lap.
No.
And of course, Sajak, and you're familiar with this, just he's not as smug. Rest in peace, Trebek. But my lord, Sajak loves that moment where he's like, no. Which, you know, under his breath, he's like, you idiots. Another feather in your map. I think she got it right. I think she nailed it. I challenge this. Who are the judges on this show? I've had feathers in my lap many times. It's a very common saying in my world. What were they supposed to say?
That'll be another feather in your cap. I'm
No.
so sorry.
Okay.
Although I'm actually not sorry because feathers in your lap sounds like a story that we probably need a little bit more of at another time. But, you know, That'll have to wait. I will tell you, Pat Sajak, however he comes across to you, the man was exceptionally kind to me when I was on Wheel of Fortune. Now, Cofield might have oversold this a little bit by calling my my situation a flop, because Pat Sajak did, after the regular game in which I solved 6 out of the 7 puzzles, call me the big winner in a big way.
Oh, wow.
The big winner in a big way. But yeah, I flopped in the bonus round. And dude, those 10 seconds when the clock is counting down and you just hear and all you can think about is everyone on national television is watching me biff this. And right when it finished and we go off air, Sajak kind of taps me on the hand and says, hey, you know, those puzzles, the words that start with vowels, those are the hardest ones to get. Because my puzzle was award recipient. I couldn't get the first word. You know what? Pat didn't have to do that. He didn't. He could have laughed at me. He could have encouraged everybody to have a good hearty laugh at my expense, like, look at this loser. No. He actually gave me a moment of kindness that I still think about today, even when I think to myself, that $35,000 prize that I didn't get would have been kind of nice.
Number 4.
Sorry, I didn't mean to rub salt in the wound. I forgot that it was 35,000.
I have learned that it is okay not being an award recipient.
Brady up on our video, we're rolling video right now at Steve Cofield at ESPN Las Vegas on YouTube. Brady asked, how much did Candy win?
Candy won a little less than $15,000 in cash and an all expenses paid trip for 2 to Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Well, that's far from a flop. How dare me?
How dare you? By the way, the best part, and you'll understand this, Cofield, from Mountain West travel, I went to Laramie with the UNLV women's basketball team, came home for 48 hours, and left for Jackson Hole. More Wyoming than I ever thought I'd have.
Number 4.
Thank you. We have to reset. Or do we want to do more Wheel of Fortune with this Christopher Coleman complaining that he's being mocked in spite of having a college education?
Number 4.
We don't. I think we're done with
Let's
that
go.
one. Nice win for the Rebels last night. Running Rebels. Lady Rebels actually were a bit stunned. Reno came in, played a really good game. Nia Alexander, one of their lead players, lit them up. And, boy, I didn't think it was a trap spot, Candy. I thought, hey, you know what? Normally this would be. You won the conference, regular season conference title. You got the Mountain West Conference women's tournament on the way. Dead spot right in that last game. But it's Reno. Figure they want to beat them up, keep the momentum going. They didn't do that. Over in the Thomas and Mack, UNLV taking on Wyoming. Wyoming's got 2 really good players. I think their supporting cast is pretty solid, but Graham Ike and Hunter Maldonado. And UNLV got 15 points from Bryce Hamilton, which, you know, for anyone else, you're like, pretty solid game. But he's averaging 24 plus in conference, almost 22 overall. He went 3 of 15 from the floor. I'll give credit to Wyoming. Man, they face guarded him. They double teamed him. They did a great job on him. But other guys stepped up. And that was a solid win. Will I go as far as impressive? I think you might go as far as impressive.
I'll go farther than impressive with UNLV because I sat here early in this season, around December, even early January, and said, what is year one going to be for Kevin Kruger? Are we just going to get the same team we've always had under TJ Otzelberger, under Marvin Menzies, to some degree to the end of Dave Rice's tenure? Are you just going to get this team that sort of flops around and finishes with 16 or 17 wins and maybe makes a modicum of noise in a quarterfinal in the Mountain West tournament? But we've gotten better than that, haven't we? You have a team that swept Colorado State. You have a team that has been competitive against Boise State, that just beat Wyoming, that is going to push for 20 wins on the season. And it's not just about the number of wins. It's about what the conference is this year. Look how good the Mountain West is. This is the best Mountain West we've seen in a decade. In a decade. You have 4 teams that are legitimate threats to go to the NCAA tournament. And a UNLV team that might get the last bye among them by its win last night. They went a long way toward it by beating Wyoming. So you know what? Maybe UNLV makes noise next week. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe they end up in the NIT. Maybe they don't. I don't know what happens from here on out. But if we're going to say what was year one for Kevin Kruger, you can stop right here and say this year is a net positive for Kevin Kruger, without question. You had no idea what you were going to get from Bryce Hamilton coming back. In fact, you didn't know till the very end that you were going to have Bryce Hamilton coming back. And so you get Bryce Hamilton back. Would he just be here trying to improve his draft stock? Was he going to be fully bought in? Were you going to have Bryce Hamilton as the best player on this team and not have anybody else step up? No and no. Bryce Hamilton has been MVP quality for the last 15 games. And a game like last night shows you that a Royce Ham and a Webster sticking up their talents at a time like they did, they can be something next week.
Number 3.
Oh, I'm here for this. My favorite topics at the Combine every year are 1, the Wonderlic. Well, they got rid of it. They're not doing the Wonderlic. Love that. 2, the anger about quarterback hand size. And here we are again, maybe at a record level, Candy.
Kenny Pickett, man of no hands. I mean, you might as well, after the measurements that we got today, you might as well put him in mittens to play quarterback in the NFL because his fingers just can't grip the ball, right? Like, he has now measured with hands that are smaller than any current NFL starting quarterback. Call it off. Why even put him in the draft? The guy can't even hold a football. So now we're turning hand size into this proxy for whether a guy can succeed in the NFL. It's ridiculous. I'm so tired of hearing about measurements that don't mean anything. We know that Jared Goff supposedly has tiny hands, right? And we know that Josh Allen has supposedly some of the largest hands in the NFL. You know who had more fumbles last year? Neither one of them. They had the same amount of fumbles at 9 last year. Stop it. Either you think the guy can throw the ball or he can't. I don't care if he does it with 8.5-inch hands, with 12.5-inch hands, with Shaq or Kawhi's hands, or with Ari's little tiny, whatever he's got.
I don't agree. 1, after hearing that Pickett has hands that are 8.5 inches, generally you're looking for a quarterback to, be 9.5 to 10.5, and there's some guys with giant mitts. I'd have to look it up right now, but Russell Wilson, in spite of his height deficiencies, I think it's closer to like 10.5 or 10 3/4. Armani Rogers, the former UNLV quarterback, is switching to tight end. I think Kenny Pickett is probably best served as a kicker.
Sometimes guys have to forge a different path, right? They have to forge a different path. Maybe you're Johnny Stanton. Maybe you should just go become a fullback, right?
Or bulk up and he become a lineman. But I'm not sure he can play quarterback in the NFL.
So his tiny hands can let him be a lineman. His tiny hands are okay for trying to hold off guys, just not for throwing the football.
What's bigger, someone's jersey to hold them or a football? Like the shoulder or a football? Listen, bro, it's been over the years, it's been proven. If you've got many hands, it's going to be a difficulty. Who's got one of the sets of the smallest hands in the National Football League? This man is only in the 16th percentile in terms of hand size for quarterbacks in the NFL. He has lost the most fumbles since 2015 in the NFL. Who's got mitts of only 9 1/8?
You must be talking about Raiders QB of the future, Derek Carr.
Yes.
Yeah, we've heard all about it.
Evidence.
We know. You have it. You have evidence. Do you know? Let me ask you a question.
Kenny Pickett lost 20, or he fumbled 26 times in Pittsburgh. The proof is there.
How
Can't
many
hold on to the ball?
How many average American males have hands larger than Kenny Pickett? Do you know the answer? What is the average American male hand size, Cofield?
I don't know the average size.
Oh, you don't know?
In this group that's on the air right now, who's got hands bigger than Kenny Pickett?
The average American male, who is not you,
Right.
7.4-inch hand size.
Is that what?
7.4 inches. 7.4 inches.
That's not accurate.
Is 100% accurate. And if you don't believe me, go to clutchpoints.com.
I mean, we're doing video right now. I mean, I just look at that. Look at that mitt. I just enveloped the entire set. I think most people getting angry about this hand size thing
have small hands.
because I've seen some of the comments out there. A dude, head coach 21 says if you're using hand size as a determining factor and how good a quarterback is, you probably shouldn't be evaluating NFL talent. My response would be, if you're not factoring it in, you're an idiot. Give me a freaking break. Here's some info on the hand size thing with quarterbacks and how they measure it. Do you know how they measure it?
I do.
Okay, explain to the audience.
So basically, spread your hand out as wide as you can. Go from the tip of your thumb out to the tip of your pinky.
Right.
That is how we measure hand size.
Yep. Right. And so a key is flexibility. First of all, your pinky and your thumb have to basically go in a straight line, which I can do. Right. What I've read is that I'm just saying, I mean, obviously it's phony. My hand measurement at 5'9" is 9 3/8.
9 3/8.
I can actually.
What a man's man.
I'm not bragging. No, I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
Because I've got flexibility. There are people who can't stretch their hand out, and Kenny Pickett apparently has. I don't want to call it deformed, but he actually has like an abnormality with his thumb. So I don't think he can actually stretch his hand out to max out with the mega hands. So I will side with you a little bit here. I don't think it's that big a deal, but it is something to look at if someone has trouble holding onto the ball in the NFL. Now, the funny thing is, I used to call Mark Sanchez baby hands all the time because Mark Sanchez, not fumble, but would fumble the ball all the time. Mark Sanchez in his class actually had some of their bigger mitts going at 6'2", similar to Derek Carr, who's got 9 1/8 hands. Mark Sanchez had 10.5-inch hands, but it didn't matter because he fumbled the ball.
Yeah, here's what we need to do. You, like Costanza, need to make sure you get some gloves to protect those man-meat mitts that you have at all times, because 9 3/8 is something that is obviously beyond the not only average American, it puts you in discussion for the NBA.
I don't understand. Hey, Ari, you're a small hander. Are you getting all mad?
Yeah,
right
well, I mean,
No, I don't have anything to weigh in on this. I haven't really stretched out my hand to check. I'm not worried about it.
stretched out my hand.
Well, we did this last year,
We haven't done the measurement before?
and just like my height,
Yeah.
I get a crap load of stuff, so I'll just back off this one. I also have issues of flexibility in my right hand, if I'm being honest.
Oh, the flexibility issues in his right hand.
So I'll use my left.
Well known. We know that about Ari. That is why we have so many problems in the studio. Ari can't get his hands from one button to the next because his hands are inflexible.
My secret's out now.
Producer.
That's right.
Why did I know Ari was going to have that? That was going to be the excuse. That's awesome.
See what I mean, everyone?
We got some injury issues, or do we? With the Vegas
Flexibility in
Golden
our
Knights.
hands? Oh, okay.
With the Vegas Golden Knights. They got a game on tap tonight. Bruins are in town. We'll get to a preview here in about 20 minutes. We don't know what we're going to get in Vegas from Robin Leonard the rest of the way. Is he hurt? Is he not hurt? There was a report by one Frank Saravalli that he was dealing with a torn labrum. Willie Ramirez stood up after the last game and tried to get into what the situation is right now with Leonard and that injury and getting ready for games.
Willie Ramirez with the Associated Press. Robin, you're obviously cleared, so when you get out there in the adrenaline, you're going to feel good. But after the game and tomorrow, are there different protocols now to make sure that you sort of take care of different rehab or next day recovery, active release? What is there anything specific that you have to do from this point forward to make sure that you stay fresh?
It's a better question for Frank Saravelli, my doctor.
Go to Joe.
Robin, after a three-week layoff, do you prefer a game with?
Okay, good job. No follow-up from Joe. No follow-up from anyone else. I mean, it was a legit question from Willie, and it turned into joke time, which, whatever, it's fine. Robin Leonard's a funny guy. He's a lighthearted guy. Is he hurt or not? Candy, what's the deal?
It's the NHL. You're never going to know. Period. And that's why I'm okay with Robin Leonard turning it into joke time, because it's the same lack of transparency we get from everybody else in the NHL. He's not going to get up there and share anything that he doesn't want to share. He doesn't have to. That's the way the NHL works with injuries. Upper body injury, lower body injury. Day to day means week to week. Week to week means month to month. You never know when it comes to the NHL and its injury stances. And so Frank Saravalli says he has a torn labrum. Frank Saravalli also says that the Golden Knights are considering a reunion with Marc-Andre Fleury. Do we know that Frank Saravalli is not Alan Walsh? Ever seen them in the same place at the same time? Just ask
None
me.
of your business.
Pretty good line.
Yeah, it is, Gerard. It is.
Pretty good line. All right, we'll get to the top story on the way back as we'll get into the news. Yesterday, is it news that both Dave Ziegler, GM of the Raiders, and the head coach, Josh McDaniels, seem to indicate strongly that Derek Carr is the guy under center to start next season for the Raiders.
It's the Big 5 at 5, brought to you by Battle Boy Injury
Bye.
Lawyers.